Good evening, Western New York. Hello, how are you? Paula D'Amico, the chapter president for NAWBO, the Buffalo-Niagara Chapter of NAWBO, here with you. Every Monday, we shine the spotlight on one of our members, and tonight it is a very special night because we are celebrating Women's History Month with my dear friend and immediate past president, Sherrie Barr Mack. Sherrie, so grateful that you are here to join us this evening. Sherrie is a multifaceted business owner. She has so much to share with you, and so much knowledge to share with us as well as a bit. If I can ask Sherrie before we dig deep into your business and learn more about your business or businesses. Um, you have on several occasions shared with us some wonderful stories about your family history. And since we are celebrating Women's History Month, I thought we could kick off our conversation with you today, talking a little bit about your family's history when it comes to women in business.
Sure. Well, thank you for asking me to come. I'm really glad that I have this opportunity to be able to speak with everyone, and especially with you, Paula. We talk all the time, but now we get to talk on more open space here. In terms of the history for me, I am a second generation woman business owner. I'm a third generation business owner for my family lineage, but I am a second generation woman business owner. My mother started out, she had her business, Upward Mobility Enterprises, which was industrial and safety supplies company. And we literally started it in our basement, moved it to the kitchen table so that we had a place to work and supplies in the basement, then to Buffalo, into on Chippewa, Delaware and Chippewa, we had our office, and we ended up in a warehouse, a large warehouse over in the Black Rock area. So I really got a chance to be able to learn how business grows and how to do it from the ground up. So it was very rewarding and exciting.
I love hearing that story. From the first time you shared that story with me until today, I can never get enough of that story. I love that story. And so now let's talk about Sherrie Barr Mack and talk about your business. Your family, their history, I'm sure, was very inspirational and motivational. But let's learn a little bit more about your business and what has inspired you to continue to be a woman in business in Western New York and beyond.
Well, okay. I have a public affairs company. Actually, work two businesses. I'm in business with my husband. We have a public affairs company, and through that company, we help people in terms of making announcements to the media or to their staff, any major company-wide changes or announcements. We also advise people on compliance and regulation in terms of what's coming down from the Capitol, what's happening in terms of policies on the table and how they can properly plan going forward and what is passed. I really enjoy that. I love working with people. I love being that person who can take all that information of what's going on in Albany and in DC and bring it down to a simple, easy to understand answer for business owners so that they can properly plan their next year, 5-year, 10-year, and such as it goes. So that's something that I enjoy doing. And the other thing that I do is with my husband, we have a financial services business. I actually am a licensed financial services representative as well as being a public policy analyst. I know that sounds like a lot, but I actually bring the two together and I work them both separately. And with the financial services, we have been on a campaign to make sure that we can get as many families financially educated as possible so that they're in a position to make decisions for themselves and their family, and then they can work with someone who is licensed to provide them with whatever services that they need. So that's, yeah, I do have a lot going on with that. And of course, with being a financial services professional that even puts me in a better play when I am doing public policy work for my clients, because many times the most impactful thing for their businesses is going to be something surrounding financial, especially, as you know now, with the PPP and many other things going on, helping them to be able to navigate.
Absolutely. We'll have to dive deeper into that in just a little bit. Not to mention, now you've got all that going on, and let's add on top of that the fact that you've been married for, I don't know, a whole bunch of years.
It's
Right?
been
That's what I say, a whole bunch of years.
just a whole bunch of years. Yeah, it's been, geez, it's been 17 years. And it's funny because with my daughter was born on our 1-year anniversary. So when I forget how long I've been married, every now and then I'll be like, how old are you again? And then when she tells me, I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. One day I'll have my anniversary back. One day.
One day. And then you've got 3 daughters, right? 3 daughters?
Yes. So I have my oldest daughter, Jordan, who is a traveling nurse. A lot of people know she'd been away for a very, very long time. She went ahead and was able to quarantine, come home. She's working on some things, but she's going to be going back out again. But we're so proud of her because she actually started the traveling nursing at the start of the coronavirus. She had gotten out of nursing school, actually had completed, maybe it was at September, October, and then by March, she was off. So we're just really proud of her and everything that she's doing and the career path that she's laying out for herself in healthcare. And then I have the other 3, which are a 16-year-old, a 15-year-old, and an 11-year-old. And I have a stepson who is also 26. I forgot to say Jordan. She's probably going to be mad. I just told her age, but that's okay. So I have Jordan, my daughter, who is 26. And funny story, my stepson is 26, and his name is also Jordan. My daughter, her name, we spell it with a Y, and Jordyn, and he is Jordan, and it is crazy interesting. But to give you the short of the long, my husband and I were high school sweethearts. We were very close. We liked to talk a lot. We had favorite names and everything else. We graduated from high school. He went off to the military, and I went on to college, and we came back together again and found out that we both had 3-year-olds and had stolen the name. Yeah.
That's great.
So, I mean, really just absolutely crazy.
And I'm glad you brought up we talked about your children a little bit, because your daughters, your 2 youngest daughters, are part of our next gen group.
Yes.
Don't mind my dog in the background. My dog just decided to jump in and say hello, Sherrie.
Everybody gets a chance. He's probably getting a chance to look to the side at my little flying pigs I always keep by.
I love those pigs.
There's a story behind them I'll have to share one time.
So we're so happy that your daughters are taking part in the next gen movement here in the Western New York area. And it's a little different than the national movement. The national movement kind of has a little bit more of a focus on college aged young ladies that are looking to start their business, whereas our next gen is quite a bit younger. And there's a great reason for that, because we want to inspire them, and hopefully your daughters have felt a little inspired, and we're so happy to have them as part of our movement for sure.
Absolutely.
So, you've been in business for quite a long time, and we are in the midst of a pandemic, and everyone's business has changed. It's either pivoted, changed, morphed, and with your businesses, both businesses, I don't hesitate to say I would believe that they would be growing like crazy, because people are looking for everything that you have to offer.
Well, it's interesting. The financial services business has been growing like crazy because people are now thinking about their mortality. They're wondering, what do they have in place, or what do they need to do. They also are a little concerned if they've tested positive or had been sick and are doing better now, whether they can get something, which, by the way, anyone can reach out to me. I can make sure that people get coverage even if they've had coronavirus. But, that's really bringing to the forefront for people, what do they need to do to plan and get prepared going forward. So that's really grown. My other business, it had a little bit of a decline, but now that people are hearing more about some new regulations and changes, especially the compliance with the mask wearing, as well as trying to find out while they're doing their business plan, what type of things they need to keep in mind for a prospectus, because things are ever changing. But at least if you know what's on the floor, what's being discussed now, you can kind of see which way things may be going to plan for plan A, plan B, plan C. So now people are really thinking more about that plan A, plan B, plan C. And
Oh, I bet.
yeah, and they're starting to contact me. So I had a little bit of a dip, but then it had came back up.
It's just like all the numbers, right? It's like a roller coaster ride for the past year.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you are one of the fortunate business owners that get to work with their husband. Or is it fortunate? Yes, it's fortunate, right?
Okay. Okay. Yes. It's quite interesting. It's quite interesting.
I bet it is.
The most difficult part for us is with our businesses, because we're doing two businesses, we're always on. There's never a real downtime. We're going from the time we wake up, excuse me, until the time we go to sleep. But one of the things that we have a hard time doing is walking out of the office whenever we do and being able to say, okay, no more talk. This is it. We're not going to talk about it again until tomorrow morning. So at first, it used to be when we first started a while ago, we were like, we had to say to each other, okay, don't talk about it. That's it. Then it became kind of a natural part of the conversation. Now, sometimes we do, sometimes we forget that we do. We're having conversation. My girls are all very politically aware and versed in conversation about bills and legislation and everything else. And I find that we're sitting at the table and we're all talking. And my 11-year-old is contributing to the conversation too. So because we love what we do, our careers really are who we are. Yesterday was my birthday, and I saw 3 clients. I had 2 people who were in need, another person I had to check on. I didn't want them to, they called and they asked if I could come, and they felt bad asking me to do something on a Sunday. I didn't tell them that it was my birthday. Of course, now they'll know, but it was no problem. The girls, I was like, go ahead, keep chopping and cooking. I'm going to go out the house. I went out the house, did what I had to do, and came back. So really, for me, I'm always on. I love what I do, and that's just the way that it goes. Yeah.
Yeah, our passion, whether it's for our spouse that we have to work with, or just having that passion for our business, helps to fuel that business and that road to success for sure.
Yeah.
So, Sherrie, being a woman in business, we've had several young ladies on with us over the past couple of months and talking about being a woman in business and the challenges that come with that,
Yeah.
and the triumphs though that come with it as well. Would you share a few with us?
Okay, so let's talk about some triumphs first. I like to talk about the positive first. It's been interesting because a triumph that I like is that, which I guess the negative of it is I get underestimated a lot by my male counterparts, thinking that I may not know something that they know, or I may not have the capabilities or the capacity to be able to do some of the things that they do. And the triumph always comes when I prove them wrong and they stand back and they're a little like, oh, okay. So I always like to say to make sure that you know your stuff. You always know your stuff. You follow up on everything and you just keep following that path and you'll continue to have triumph. So I can say I've definitely been underestimated. When I was younger, of course, I'm older now, but when I was in my late 20s, early 30s, and I was working in Albany, actually, I was working in Albany in my mid to early 20s. And while I was working in Albany, I had the opportunity to be a legislative assistant and working with different of the various representatives that we've had and helping out. And they would always underestimate if I really knew exactly more details than what they were talking about with policies and such. And I did. And it was a triumph for me because I guess I'm one of those people and I get teased about it still, and that's okay. I'm one of those people, I like to read policy. I like to know what's going on. So, it was always a triumph to be able to do that. The trial to get to the point where I was able to say, yes, I did it, is a whole other story. As a trial for women, as a woman in business, I can go back to when my mother and I were working together. Just even starting there, she's who I really learned how to be able to maneuver through and do business. And I can remember we had major contracts. She supplied to about 90% of the New York State Thruway Authority and about 80 of the prison system. So we were always making deliveries and we would do it ourselves. And it was amazing. And this was in the late 90s, early 2000s. It was amazing the number of people that we worked with, and we were already working in a male-dominated area. We were the only women. We were the only women of color. And even amongst the men who would stand around and look, and we've been given wrong addresses. If we're all suppliers, supposed to be one place, and you go to double check with someone, we've had someone give us a wrong address. We've had other little things underhanded done, and we were able to triumph. So I just say, and I tell my girls, know your stuff, always follow up, and always just make sure that you have the upper hand in everything you do. So the trial had some pretty serious trials, but you know what? The triumph, whether it's been minor or major or few, it has always outweighed the trial in the end.
And I was going to ask you, Sherrie, about being a woman of color in your business and how that had been, and probably to some degree today still continues to be a little bit of a challenge. Does it not?
Yeah, it does. There's what happens today is it's more of a more subtle, passive aggressive way that some things are done. I mean, for both businesses, I've had for my one business for the MackBarr Group where I'll be talking to someone and making arrangements to be able to help on a project and being told, well, I don't know if you really would be able to be up to par or understand exactly what we're trying to do. It's more of a relatable type of thing. And that was on an assumption that I didn't understand or I would not understand what suburban families are looking for or doing. And ironically, I grew up 49 years out in the suburbs. So, it's always one of those underestimates. I'm like, well, I think I really do, seeing that I spent all my years
Right.
moved out to the suburbs when I was about 2 years old. I know that. So that was a trial. I do still see some trials come in the financial services. I find it very interesting that there are some families, Maybe it's because of, they feel more related or more comfortable. I've noticed that there have been some families who will tend to want to stick with doing business, whether it's 401ks, annuities, whatever it is that they're doing, with someone who looks like them, rather than taking the opportunity and talking to someone who is knowledgeable. So, that's things that happen. For me, even if I have to talk to someone on the phone, and this is for both businesses, they hear me, they're like, okay, and I show up and they're looking around saying, wait a minute, you can't be the same person that I spoke to on the phone. And then they make a decision at that time to either move forward and still be shocked, or to come up with a reason as to why we may have to hold off for a little bit. So I'm used to that. It's just a part of the way that it goes. But I always say this way, not all business is good for me. And I can hold off and I can wait, until the people who really want to do business with me come along. And that's what I've taught my children. Yeah.
It's just it's unfortunate that those trials still have to be going on today, that there is that roadblock that people just can't can't accept, and just based on on your merits, how. And some of the other young ladies that we spoke with over the past few weeks have shared similar stories as well. So, and for those of you that are tuning in, maybe for the first time, maybe you've never tuned in and watched our Monday Member Spotlight series, I invite you to go ahead and go just scroll down right on this page and look for and look for those stories, and go on YouTube as well. Sherrie, we got about 8 minutes left, and I don't want to forget about this, because this is one of the most important reasons why we are bringing somebody into the spotlight, is to give you exposure too. So can you please share, how do people reach out to you? How do they contact you, whether it is for financial, or for public policy, or public relations? How do people reach out to you?
Sure. So you can visit me on our website, MackBarr Group.com. I'm actually right here in downtown Buffalo, right down the street from City Hall. So we're right here on Niagara Street. You can give me a call, 716-939-1259. And you can always just, come to a NAWBO event, come to a NAWBO activity that we have. We actually are having something which I really want to make sure that I take the opportunity to share. Our Diversity and Inclusion Task Force, which I am one of the founding members of that, is going to be having on Friday a funding roundtable. And it's going to be exciting. I'm so looking forward to it. We are going to have our own Christine Howard of E.B. Howard Consulting, and she will be doing that with Victoria Reynolds, and she's with the SBA. And it's just really going to be, it's really going to be a really, really nice presentation. So I'm looking forward to it. And that's going to be on Friday. And, just keep an active.
It's excellent. I can't wait to dip into it and watch it as well. It starts at 8 o'clock, right? Is that correct? And
it is at 8 a.m. It's going to be a roundtable discussion. It's going to be the first of a series of roundtable discussions that we are going to be doing. And this one is going to be on funding, and you do not want to miss it. And I'm just so excited just to give my plug for NAWBO. I mean, there's so much going on here. We have so much to offer. Paula, she's our current president, and she's just doing such a great job. We're excited about her. And with the task force, we're excited about that kicking off. And you know me, I've always got to give my plug. I want to get a chance to let you all know the founding members of my task force. We have Lisa Coppola of the Coppola firm. We have Christine Howard of E.B. Howard Consulting. We have Andrea Shalacy, who's with Hurwitz and Fine. We have Stephanie Gelber, who is with Gelber O'Connell, and we have Jonna Willoughby Lohr, who is with Papercraft Miracles. And we're just so excited about everything that we are offering and that we're doing. And I know this is my member spotlight, but to me, my spotlight is spotlighting my NAWBO sisters. And I'm just so proud of them. So looking forward to it, and we hoping that everybody can join.
Yeah, the invitation is there. You just heard it from Sherrie. I'll reiterate that you're invited. You're invited to come and join us on Friday. It's at 8 a.m. There is information right here on the Facebook page here, on NAWBO's Facebook page. Buffalo Niagara. We also have our website as well. You can jump online there. But since you're already here on Facebook, just scroll down probably a couple of posts and you'll see the information. You'll see how you can register. So I'm so glad that we started talking about NAWBO, Sherrie, because that's exactly where I wanted to pivot to and talk about NAWBO and the Buffalo-Niagara chapter and beyond, because you are our immediate past president. Who had to make that transition towards the end of being in a pandemic, and then you have taken the leap into a national connection with the president's steering committee. So let's just talk a little bit about NAWBO and talk about what the organization has meant to you, and maybe a little bit to your business as well.
Well, I love NAWBO. I feel like NAWBO's story is my story. There's so many alignments, and I always tell, for me, how I even came upon NAWBO. I was able to join, and there's a whole other story in joining, but for a limited time, I wanted to focus on when I truly became sold on NAWBO. I think it was it wasn't my first meeting, it was my second dinner meeting that I had went to the NAWBO dinner meeting, and there was an announcement about the upcoming Advocacy Day, which was going to be going on in DC, which perked my ears up because I'm a public policy person. So I was like, Advocacy Day, huh? So they talked about it. They said, we're going to be going. Mind you, I knew absolutely nobody in the room. I had only said hello to a couple of people in the past. And they just kept going on. And I went home that night, told my husband, well, guess what? I'm going to Advocacy Day. He's like, with who? And you don't know these people. And I said, well, I'm going to go. I went to Advocacy Day, and at that moment, I was sold. Because not only was I excitedly living in my element at that moment, anything that had to do with policy and public affairs, but I got the opportunity to meet women outside of my area who were excited to connect with other women who speak the same language that I do. The language that a woman business owner, a solopreneur, an entrepreneur speaks is different than the language that somebody who's an employee speaks. And sometimes you really need to be able to have a connection and have someone to be able to just reach out and be like, oh my gosh, I need to talk to someone today. So I just was sold, and I've been here ever since. They do an amazing job of connecting. We just carry it out here on the Buffalo level and just straight through to the national. So I really encourage everyone to look at becoming a part of NAWBO.
It really is a true sisterhood. Sherrie, you and I, the story of Sherrie and Paula, when we teamed up for your presidency, and even now you continue to help guide and offer support, just incredible support, by the way. So thank you so much for everything that you do for our local organization and for our national. We talk about the sisterhood that is born of this organization. It is these close relationships. It is this, it's not just a relationship, but it's a connection. It's a community, definitely, for sure. And when Sherrie and I met each other, we were utterly strangers. We didn't know anything about each other. And I dare say, Sherrie, that we are like the best of friends now.
We have gotten on the phone and had all types of crazy conversations, talking about all types of stuff. I think, Paula, you were the first one to come to my office when I had gotten my little pigs. I have to show my little pigs.
Oh, show your pigs.
So,
I love them.
there's a quick story behind these flying pigs. So I was in the store and I was having a really hard day, and actually I had visited with a client who had given me some not so good news, and I just knew it was going to be a problem. And I saw these black flying pigs, and I was like, I don't know why, but I feel like I should buy them. And I bought them, and as I was ringing it up, the lady was ringing them up for me, and she said, "Oh, pigs fly. If pigs could fly, huh?" And I laughed. I said, "You know what? You're right. They tried to tell me, many people, when I started my public affairs business, that it wasn't going to work, that nobody's going to pay you, just stick to something else. Don't do it." But I love it. And even the more I grew in financial services, the more I was looking at laws and regulations within the financial for services industry. And I was like, I totally am bringing together two absolute loves of mine. And I've been able to manage and find a way to work. But when I would look at these every day coming in, and you were the first person to see them when I brought them, Paula, I would always say, if pigs could fly, well, I'm flying now that they don't know, and we would laugh. I would say it to you. So then, guess what I found out? I found out that there's a meaning, which I didn't even know, behind these flying black pigs. And do you know what the meaning is? The meaning is challenge what's possible every day. I had no idea. Someone had looked at this and they said, "Where can I get these flying pigs that you have? They're so cute." I'm like, "I don't know." So I take my phone and I'm looking up to see where they could get them, because I said, "I don't know." And it just came up and I was like, why are these black flying pigs so popular? And that's what it means. Challenge every day what is possible.
That's awesome. Since you brought the pigs up, I thought maybe I should run. So if you heard a thump, it was me falling over. But I figured
you got the tree.
I figured I had to bring the tree out.
You have to. So I'm a woman of stories, and I'm gonna tell the story.
Okay, tell the story, Sherrie.
I will tell the story of the tree. Definitely, if Marsha Brogan or Christine Howard see this, they're gonna laugh. They already know. So it was my turn to do the Christmas party for NAWBO. I was president-elect, so it's my turn to plan the Christmas party. So I'm going out and I'm wheeling and dealing and doing all this stuff to be able to get these decorations. And I got this tree and I've been bargaining all day. I was so excited. And I came up to the register with the tree, and I can't say the store that I got it from, but just know I got it from a popular store. And the girl finished ringing everything up, and she's like, "There's no price for this tree." I'm like, "What do you mean there's no price for this tree?" She said, "There's no price for this tree." So they were going back and forth, and she wasn't going to let me buy it because there was no price. So I was like, don't worry about it. Just go ahead. Let's just give it a price. And she's like, "No, we can't do that." So I asked for the manager, and the manager had came over, and he said, "Can I help you?" And I just acted like I was at a garage sale. I said, "I'll give you this for that tree." And he's like, "Oh, okay." So then I got the tree. So the story behind that tree, which goes with the flying pigs, challenge every day what is possible. Yes, that goes with the flying pig now. I've always just been one of those people that you just can't tell me no. Yeah. They told me my business wasn't going to be able to make it or do it. I'm here. I think we've been here for, I just celebrated our 11th anniversary here in this building. Same office. Now we've added 2, but now we got 2. That's a whole other story. But in the same building, he's got his over there and I'm over here. But we're in the same building. It's been 11 years, so people said that we wouldn't find a way to make it work, and we do. And I just hope that my girls pick up on that challenge.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, ladies and gentlemen, if you're wondering why I have the tree, it's Sherrie was kind enough to share that story and then present me with that tree at our installation when she became president and I became president-elect, and we became partners for sure.
Yes.
I'm not going to say partners in crime. I'm going to say partners in sisters, definitely.
And challenging what's possible.
Yeah.
Because we've had to challenge a couple of things.
There's been a few challenges for sure.
Yes.
Absolutely. So we are actually over in time. I knew it was going to happen, Sherrie, because when we start talking, we can never stop. And we could probably go on for like another half an hour.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you. I'm sure you'd like to actually go home and rest after a long day. Yeah,
I'll be here.
Continue working.
I'll be here till 9 o'clock tonight. But yes,
Oh,
I told you I love what I do. I usually, at least you're lucky, my children are older now. We used to be sitting doing meetings and there were small children crawling on the floor. So we've made the children a part of our business.
I remember that. I remember that distinctly, having like a little bouncy chair off to the side, trying to keep them busy while you're trying to have a meeting. So it is certainly, it is definitely a labor of love. It is the passion for what we do that keeps us going and creates great relationships and friendships. So Sherrie Barr Mack, I want to thank you for being such a great leader here in the Buffalo-Niagara chapter and in this community, and for being my friend because you're so supportive and so wise, and I totally appreciate you. And again,
thank you for dealing with me, because you've gotten those calls where I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, or
we only did
sailor talk going on in here during the day. But
I know, girl, I know. But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us this evening for our Monday Member Spotlight. Thank you, Sherrie Barr Mack, for joining us as well. We will have a link to both of our businesses in the comments here on Facebook. Next week at 6 o'clock, we are going to have Laura Zimberg is going to join us. And she is a massage therapist. I'm trying to use my fingers, be massaging.
And she's good.
She's so good. She's so good. The Buffalo Bills are like, come on over, Laura.
Yes.
And so we'll be speaking with her next week. And then the following week, we have the leader of our Next Gen committee organization, which would be Amber Ream. So we are so happy to have her as well. So folks, stay tuned for all those interviews as they come up every Monday, 6 o'clock, right here on Facebook. We are so happy that you joined us. Have a good night and stay safe. And again, Sherrie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Good night. And as always, hashtag NAWBO WNY Pride.
That's it. NAWBO Nation, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks.